Hello, everyone. Uh, I've been thinking that maybe I should focus more on. I know I talked about the World Economic Forum last time, but all of this stuff is fading. This is all going away. It's not real. Um, the world is splitting into two realities. There is the reality that is all this fake stuff, fake Joe Biden, fake Klaus Schwab, the Bond supervillain, fake Anthony Fauci, fake everything. And so, one of the things that has been revealed to us by the people who are the extraterrestrials is that our sun is going through a area of the galaxy where there is a special kind of light, bands of light that will awaken the earth and all of us on it to ascension. Right now, the world is ascending. The third density people are like your basic low vibration people. All they think about is money and power and that sort of thing. But most of the world is starting to move into fourth density. A lot of people are starting to realize that we need to do good in this world. We need to be free. We need to help free other people and educate them about their rights, and also to become more spiritual. That's not like religious. I mean, the big mistake I think people make is that when they think of spiritual, they think in terms of their own church, their own religious viewpoint, whether it's Christian or Muslim or Hindu or and then of course then the Christians like to break themselves up into different groups. I mean, my group is Catholic. There are Protestants who don't believe that Catholics are Christians, and then you've got this whole Eastern church that nobody even knows anything about. Well, I do because I study it, but you know, your Archpatriarch of Byzantium, the Archpatriarch of Moscow, all these different Eastern Orthodox churches. And so, like, we need to get past the different churches and start thinking about God and our connection to God, because all this ascension is going to be wrapped up into um, the idea that we are connected to God. We are all connected to God. And if we disconnect ourselves from God, we'll become like those, the lizard people, the I call them the lizard people because they're all kind of have a reptilian brain and they think in reptilian terms of just money, power, lust, etc., just at a reptilian level. But if we can start connecting to God and realize that we are come from God, and if we connect to God, or some people call it source, some people call it the Father. If we start connecting to God in a more close way, we're going to start, that's going to help our ascension process, because ideally all of us want to go to fifth density. Now there's a lot of talk on the web about fifth density, and I think some of them are missing the point because they're saying, oh, it's not like the way Christians think, or oh, it's not like this, it's not like that. It's like they tend to think that like Hinduism or Buddhism is the right way to ascend. That may not be necessarily true either. If you do not see yourself as connecting with all the Christians, all the Muslims, with all human beings, realize that if we're connected to God, that we're also connected to each other. And so, anyway, that's just a beginning sort of move to ascension. I've seen a few like meditations for 5D. Most of them just seem like garden variety guided meditations. I've tried those, but it's got to go beyond that. And a lot of it has to do with love. You have to learn to love God and love everyone else too, because they're connected to God. Now, some people have disconnected themselves to God. These are your reptilians, your Clintons, your Klaus Schwabs, your lizard people. And we know who they are. It's pretty obvious to spot them. And one of the things that I figured out a little while ago, and I really figured it out yesterday, is that when we're opposed by opposite forces, when we're when we're hurt, when we're struggling, this actually helps our ascension to 5D, fifth density. So like, one is I'm a big, I watched Stargate SG-1 for years. There was an episode called Prototype. It was like season 9, episode 9, and it was about an alien that was on the path to ascension. They talk about ascension a lot in the later seasons of Stargate SG-1, and so this they found a man in a stasis chamber, and he'd been experimented on by the Goa'uld, which are the reptilian types, and they were trying to artificially create ascension rather than doing a God connection type of ascension. And so what happened was they wanted to they took him back to headquarters and trying to figure out how they were doing this artificial ascension. Now remember, in this case it was a bad guy, but if you think of it in terms of the way Q says think mirror, so if somebody was ascending in the good way, right, they would it would be similar to this, except it would be more natural. So if you think about that, it would be worth. I just want to talk about this a little bit, because in this Stargate episode, season 9, episode 9, title was Prototype. They brought him back to research on him. He turned out to be really evil, causing all kinds of destruction. But one of the things that caused him to ascend higher, to increase his ascension, was if he was injured by them, or it was when he had to fight against them, or anything that was in opposition, it would increase his ascension faster. And so that kind of is what is sort of like if you say if you're doing weight training, like you're trying to develop your wind power and all that. So what you do is you carry weights while you're walking or jogging, and so then when you get rid of the weight, you go really fast and your wind power is really strong. So that's kind of the same principle is what was happening in this episode. So every time he got injured by them or they fought against him, he would get stronger. And so anyway, so when you're going through troubled times, if you can, like when people are, the lizard people are doing everything they can to make you feel discouraged, to cause you to be unhappy, if you can take that and change the vibration to where you're saying, no, I won't get discouraged. I will think positively. I'll raise my vibration. I'll increase my love for everyone, so that I will ascend against all this evil opposition. And that will help you in the ascension process. And the reason I brought this up today is because I was working in my front yard. I have a very steep property, so and there's embankments and stuff with stones retaining walls, and so I was out on the front, not kind of higher up, and I was pulling out these sorrel weeds, which are really nasty. They have these big thick roots. It's really hard to dig them out. So I was out there with my little garden fork trying to dig one of these sorrel weeds out, and finally the root gave way. I lost my balance, rolled down the embankment, hit a rock, and flipped over the embankment and landed on my back. So I'm like laying there going, oh, I'm going to feel this. I just couldn't even move. But I said, you know what? I am not going to have bad expectations of this. I'm going to heal quickly. I'm going to heal better. And that, when I manifested that, see, the thing is, the further up you move in ascension, the more you can manifest with your thoughts. And so I figured I would be just unable to move today. And I woke up. I'm 66 years old, so, if I roll down an embankment and flip over a wall and land on my back, you'd think that would kind of knock me up for a while. But it didn't. I feel better today. I do have a big bruise on my arm where it hit the rock, and I'm a little sore. But it's odd because my force was against what would be the normal expected thing in third density, but now I can actually affect my material world by the will of my thought. And this is where everybody is going. Okay, so I think the most important thing is you need to worry about the connection to God and connection to everyone else, getting rid of ego. And I will post some other things that I've figured out about ascension. The little meditations, the garden variety guided meditations that are online, I don't think they're enough for a fifth density ascension. There are some people that are quite good at studying this. There's a channel on Rumble called Eceti, and it's spelled Eceti. That one's pretty good. The guy there has very high vibrations, and very honorable person. And he has a lot of good thoughts about ascension. He does have contact with the ETs, or the off-worlders, star people, I call them. And so he does have some of that, which is helpful because they're here to help us on the ascension. I will probably talk a little more about what the star people do. It may not be obvious to you if you're still kind of living very physically and you're not really getting into the spiritual aspects of it yet. But anyway, I thought I'd just mention that, and that, if you're suffering, people are trying to make you worried or scared, don't worry. Just work against that in your mind and in your thoughts and in your heart, that you don't have anything to be afraid of. It's all going to be wonderful in the future. And just keep moving towards that. If you've got people in your life that are being jerks, just move past them. Forgive them and move past them. Most important thing is when people are bad to you, you need to forgive them, because that lets you move past that. So just thought I mentioned, I think I mentioned that before. Forgiveness is super important. Getting rid of excessive ego, pride, things like that are very important. Excessive preoccupation with material things and money. Try to simplify your life. Like I said, I'm going to talk some more about this when I think about them. because Ascension is kind of huge. I've heard that the light bands that will raise our consciousness to fifth density may actually be here. I don't know if this is true. I just heard this, that they may start appearing in August. So right now we're in fourth density because the Earth is starting to ascend. And so we will all ascend with. And try not to be preoccupied with physical things, because when you hit fifth density, you'll have the power of manifestation. If you need something or want something and it doesn't harm anybody else, it doesn't affect anybody else's free will, then you can have that thing. It will just be there. By power of will, you will have whatever you need. And the only thing is, I don't know how this is going to work, is if you've gotten the, the thing in your arm. If you've gotten the thing in your arm, I don't know how that's going to work. You may need extra help from the star people to ascend, if you can ascend. That's one of the bad things about because it does affect your DNA, and ascension is part of your it's an interaction with your DNA and your pineal gland to open it up. And speaking of the pineal gland, there are certain things that help that. One of the things is, and these aren't fancy. I got mine on Amazon. So it's called a Tibetan singing bowl. And let me see if I can get it. I've never done it in my hand before. Okay, that tone there, that is the tone of B, or 3936 hertz, which is, if you know anything about Tesla's work, that's one of the important frequencies. It opens the pineal gland. It energizes the pineal gland. It's part of the crown chakra, so it opens your mind. And I got that just because I thought it was interesting, and I thought I'd give it a try. And it does seem to help with your development of your pineal gland, because the ascension is also part of the pineal gland. This is your third eye. And also tonic water helps cleanse the pineal gland from a physical standpoint. It's also cures. Well, I'm not supposed to say it will cure the coof, but let's just say I take it and I didn't get it. So, I don't know. And also, but it does help clean out the pineal gland. If you do get it, and I hate to recommend anything, but the Fever Tree brand is nice because it's your classic pure Indian quinine bark with sugar in it instead of corn syrup, which is really, really bad for you. People worry about, all these other things. Corn syrup is awful. So I just get the one with the sugar in it. There may be other brands like that, but I just know that one's really good. Fever Tree. Anyway, I'm trying to think of anything else I could think of before I sign off on this. But right now, the most important thing we can be doing is focusing on ascension. I can't stress this enough. Anyway, I'll try to get some more videos posted about ascension. I know there's lots of other things going on. The military is in control. I think they're very close to, going ahead and starting to make the big arrests. I don't know the date. Nobody does. Only the military, high military brass know that. You know, operational security, as it were. So anyway, and I've got to stop talking because I just got over a cold, not the coof, just a regular cold. And if I talk too much, I start to cough. But anyway, until next time, think good thoughts, say good words, do good deeds. Think of ascension, loving your neighbor, loving God, and letting go from past injuries and moving on. Bye now.